Okay, so here's a number for you. $647 billion. That is Elon Musk's net worth as of late 2025, according to Bloomberg. Some estimates put it above $700 billion. He is, by every measure, the richest human being alive on this planet right now. And here's another number. 14. That's how many children he has. Born between 2002 and 2025, with 4 different women. And if you think those two numbers are unrelated, you haven't been paying attention. 2,000 years ago, a man named Augustus Caesar, the first emperor of Rome, controlled wealth equivalent to roughly $4.6 trillion. In today's dollars, he personally owned Egypt, not governed it. Owned. Egypt at the time produced somewhere around 25% of the world's entire economic output. He had 3 wives, 1 biological child, and he spent the last 30 years of his life 30 years. Obsessed with one question: who carries this forward after I'm gone? The tools are different. The architecture is identical. This is the hidden pattern of power, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Let's start with the most obvious one. Augustus didn't just win the Roman civil wars. He rewrote them. He commissioned Virgil, the greatest poet of the ancient world, to write the Aeneid, a 9-0-line epic poem that basically said Rome was destined to exist, and Augustus was destined to lead it. He commissioned Horace and Ovid to write the official cultural narrative. He put his face on every gold coin in the empire, the aureus, so that every single financial transaction in Rome reminded you who was in charge. He renamed the month of August after himself. Just decided the calendar needed his name in it. He didn't control people with fear. Well, not only fear. He controlled them with narrative, with a version of reality he wanted you to believe. Now, think about what Elon did in October 2022. He paid $44 billion for Twitter. Not because it was profitable. Twitter had lost money for most of its existence. He paid $44 billion for the microphone, the single platform where 238 million daily active users spoke. Journalists, politicians, scientists, prime ministers, presidents. The first thing he did when he got in? Released what he called the Twitter files. His framing, his version of what had been suppressed. He then renamed the platform X, rebranded the entire thing under his personal symbol. He changed the algorithm. He reinstated accounts. He banned others. He made himself the loudest voice on the platform he now owned. Elon Musk currently sits at over 220 million followers, more than any world leader on Earth. Augustus renamed a month. Elon renamed the platform. Same move, different century. And here's the detail that most people miss. Augustus passed something called the Lex Iulia, a series of laws promoting Roman family values, punishing adultery. He was legislating morality, while simultaneously, but we'll get to that. Now here's where the numbers get genuinely strange. Augustus had 1 biological child who survived to adulthood. 1, his daughter Julia, born 39 BC. His wife Livia, whom he loved deeply and stayed married to for 52 years, never gave him a son, not one. So he did what every ruler without an heir does. He maneuvered. He married Julia to his general Agrippa, a man 25 years her senior, and they had 5 children together. He adopted 2 of those grandsons as his own sons. He then forced Julia to marry his stepson Tiberius after Agrippa died, even though Tiberius was already happily married to someone else. He forced that divorce too. He spent literally the last 30 years of his reign engineering a bloodline, adopting, marrying off, maneuvering through 3 different potential heirs, because he understood something most people don't want to say out loud. Legacy is biological. The most durable form of power is bloodline. Now, Elon Musk, 14 children, born between 2002 and 2025, with 4 women, and according to a Wall Street Journal report from April 2025, Musk privately told St. Clair he wanted a Legion-level number of children before the apocalypse, as he apparently texted, and believed surrogates would be required to reach that number. Legion. That's a Roman military unit, traditionally thousands of soldiers. That's not a metaphor he chose by accident. For context, Genghis Khan, history's most prolific conqueror, officially had 9 children. A 2003 genetic study estimated he had approximately 16 million male descendants alive at that point in time, roughly 1 in 200 men on Earth. His strategy worked. His bloodline survived 800 years. Elon Musk is 53 years old, he has 14 children and counting, and he controls the rockets that will take humans off this planet. You do the math. Here's the one that most people miss entirely. Everyone talks about the money, $647 billion, richest man alive. Fine. But Augustus wasn't powerful because he was rich. He was powerful because he owned the things that everything else depended on. Rome's grain supply, controlled through Egypt, his personal territory. The legions, 28 of them, roughly 150,000 soldiers, paid personally by Augustus from his own treasury. The road network, 250,000 miles of paved road, the logistics backbone of the entire empire. The Praetorian Guard, the only armed soldiers allowed inside the city of Rome. The aqueducts. Augustus didn't own Rome like a landlord owns a building. He owned the systems that Rome could not function without. Remove Augustus overnight. The grain stops, the legions go unpaid, the roads aren't maintained. That is what indispensability looks like. Now look at what Elon actually controls, not owns on paper, but functionally controls. SpaceX, the only company currently capable of launching U.S. government satellites at the scale and cost the Pentagon needs. As of 2025, SpaceX holds the majority of NASA and DoD launch contracts. There is no comparable backup. The U.S. military is dependent on a private company run by one man, Starlink, 6,000-plus satellites in orbit, providing internet to Ukraine's frontline military units, to rural hospitals in sub-Saharan Africa, to emergency services, to researchers in Antarctica. If Starlink went dark tomorrow, actual wars would be affected. The Ukrainian military has publicly acknowledged Starlink as critical battlefield infrastructure. Tesla, $1.63 trillion market cap as of late 2025, building the energy storage and transport infrastructure of the next 50 years. Neuralink, the interface between human brains and computers. If this works at scale, whoever controls it controls the most intimate infrastructure imaginable. XAIX merged in 2025 into a single entity valued at over $100 billion. Media infrastructure and AI infrastructure combined. Doge, access to the administrative machinery of the U.S. federal government itself. Augustus would have recognized every single one of these moves immediately. This is not the behavior of a man who wants to make money. He already has more money than any single human can spend. This is the behavior of a man who wants to make himself indispensable. Because here's what 2,000 years of history tells us, and this is the part that should actually make you stop. The most dangerous kind of power is not the power that threatens you. It's the power you cannot live without. But here's where the comparison gets dark. Because Augustus didn't just he protected, and the way he protected tells you everything about what power really costs. His daughter, Julia, his only biological child, the woman he spent decades using as a political instrument, marrying her off 3 times for strategic alliances, he eventually exiled. Publicly, humiliated her in front of Rome, banned her permanently from the city. She died in poverty on a small island off the Italian coast in 14 AD. The poet Ovid, arguably the greatest Latin writer of the Augustan age, exiled in 8 AD. The official reason was vague, a poem and a mistake. Most historians believe he either witnessed something he wasn't supposed to witness, or wrote something that embarrassed the imperial narrative. That's it, a poem. Gone from Rome forever, he died in exile. His grandson, his biological grandson, Agrippa Postumus, imprisoned and executed within days of Augustus's own death. He didn't fit the succession plan. He was inconvenient, so he was removed. Once you build a system around yourself, once the infrastructure, the narrative, the bloodline is all yours, the system starts to defend itself, even against the people closest to you. Grimes, the mother of 3 of Musk's children, posted publicly in November 2024 that she didn't see one of her children for 5 months. During a legal dispute, she said she was fighting with a fraction of his resources. Justine Wilson, his first wife, sued him in October 2023 over parenting rights. Vivian Musk, his daughter, who changed both her name and her gender in 2022, filed legal paperwork stating she no longer wished to be related to my biological father in any way, shape, or form. I'm not passing judgment on any of this. These are complicated human situations, but the pattern. Augustus exiled his daughter, his only child. The system demanded it. Why does this pattern repeat? Why does every civilization, separated by thousands of miles, thousands of years, completely different languages, religions, technologies, produce the same type of person, making the same decisions? Augustus controlled 25–30% of the world's economic output and owned Egypt outright, roughly $4.6 trillion in today's terms. He still spent 30 years obsessing over succession. Elon Musk has $647 billion, a number so large it increased by $215 billion in a single year, and he's texting about wanting a legion of children before the apocalypse. Numbers are incomprehensible. Behavior is identical, and I think the answer is actually kind of simple, because the problems never change. How do you hold power after you get it? How do you make sure your name survives after you die? How do you prevent the people closest to you from taking what you built? How do you control a narrative so large that no single person can fully understand it? These are not modern problems. These are human problems, and every person who has ever reached the top of civilization has had to answer them. Augustus answered them with poets and legions, and 50 years of careful, ruthless maneuvering. Elon Musk is answering them with satellites and AI and 14 children and the machinery of government. Different tools, same architecture, and maybe that should tell us something. Not about Elon specifically, not even about Augustus, but about power itself. About what it demands from the people who hold it. Because Augustus didn't set out to exile his daughter. He didn't set out to die in a villa in Nola surrounded by people he couldn't fully trust, with a succession so fragile it would collapse into civil war within 100 years. He set out to build something permanent. And somewhere along the way, the project consumed the man. So, is Elon Musk the new Augustus Caesar? That's probably the wrong question. The right question is, what does it mean that the pattern keeps appearing? What does it mean that every few centuries, one person finds a way to make themselves the center of a system so large, so deeply woven into how everyone else lives, that removing them becomes unthinkable? Augustus didn't conquer Rome. He made himself necessary to Rome, and then he made that necessity permanent. We are watching something happen in real time. And we have 2,000 years of history that can tell us, with some precision, where this road goes. Whether that's a warning or a roadmap, I'll leave that to you. If you want to go deeper on the hidden patterns of power, how the same decisions repeat across empires, across centuries, across cultures, subscribe. That's what this channel is. The next one is about something even older and even darker. See you there.